Welcome back to Pittsburgh Home Garden. It is another beautiful day here in Zone 6A, and for the first part of today, I really need to focus on replacing my volunteers. But the main problem is they're in places in the yard where I don't necessarily want them. Namely, a bed like this that was actually made for strawberries, which is why, I have netting over it. This bed wasn't meant for mint. I already have a huge mint patch, with the melons up there, and I don't necessarily want to destroy it all. So I'm gonna go ahead and harvest a good amount, but also make sure that when I do, I actually pull it from the very bottom to try to get these stems, because they will spread, as as you can see, all around the bed. And I'm also going to do a bit of strategic planting around the yard. Well, as you can see, I have yet another huge bundle of mint that I am certainly grateful for. I just got done processing the last big bundle of mint in my humidifier. So half of this bundle I would really like to get placed in the yard, strategically around, things that I think will be aesthetically pleasing and kind of out of the way, since it does grow, so readily. So I think I'm going to plant it all along the base of the greenhouse, at least in this little corner, see how much I could get rid of there, and just gotta move on. This is the area next to the greenhouse that I was speaking of. As you can see, it receives a little bit of afternoon shade. I'm actually not worried. I really just don't want any of this grass or weed to start creeping underneath the wood into the greenhouse. And I think it would be, aesthetically pleasing to have just a bunch of mint lining up over here, and then it can spread and take over this area. Because believe it or not, about a year ago, I actually covered up all the grass in my yard with wood chip. This entire yard looked a lot different, and cardboard that I laid under just kind of deteriorated. It kind of composted, I imagine, and then the weed seeds came back up, which I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure out something. I really did kind of break my back putting so much wood chip in, but nonetheless, right now, I'm gonna take care of this weed close to the greenhouse with my brand new steel hoe. This is a hoe by Green Bee. This is my second kind of angled steel hoe that I bought. This one has a lot wider base, and I think I like it a lot more than the last one I bought that I ended up breaking, within a matter of 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll see how long this baby holds up. I'll leave a link in the Amazon. I'll leave an Amazon link below if you would like to try it yourself. But I'm going to go ahead and start pulling up this soil. All right, so the little steel hoe made quick work of this. That honestly only took me about 5-6 minutes to do, and now I have this beautiful, I don't know, let's say 8-inch gap of space. Just kind of lay these babies in and let them do their thing. We're expecting thunderstorms tomorrow, so it should be a great day to just plant out anything in the yard. So let's start with this good old mint. So when you are repurposing your mint, you don't really need to be too fragile. I like to just get in there, get a nice ditch going. Wow, this is very heavy soil. Wow. Okay. Well, I wasn't ready for that. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and loosen up the soil before I plant anything in. It's very dense. I don't know if you can see that, but Jesus. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen this up real quick. And like I was saying, before I realized the soil needed to be worked on a bit, when you are replanting your mint, you actually don't need to be that gentle, just because it is a spreading plant. So you can just go ahead and put in clumps of it at a time and let them spread and do their thing. This is maybe one of, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 different sunflowers around the yard that are just like in terrible places. As you settle into your summer garden, really figure out your design, because I really believe half of gardening is about your aesthetic. Where you're sitting in the yard, where are the hangout spaces, where are the walking paths and things like that. You really need to design and think about. So when you're digging up your volunteers, I think it's very important to almost know where your placement's going to be immediately. You want to get these in the ground damn near as soon as possible. On a similar vibe as the sunflowers, I also have a bunch of volunteer nasturtiums that are kind of hidden within this patch of grass that I need to do away with. Last year I had a big, wonderful nasturtium out of here that kind of draped down, and I didn't save any seed. That's when I had started that job and I just didn't have the time. So there's a lot of little self-seeded nasturtium plants around here that I don't necessarily want next to this bed anymore. So because nasturtium is such a it's not a vining, but it's a very floppy type of plant, I'm gonna go ahead and dig these up. I'm gonna fill up a couple of planting pots that I have, put some strings through them, and I really want to hang these around the yard, because that will be able to give it the space to actually like dip over, and I'll just have a nice long line of flowers next to, of course, things that need to be pollinated.
With wonderful Miss Paulette, as you can see, she is putting on magnificent growth that is going straight up. And I actually want to take a moment and espalier this just a little bit, because I do not want this tree to get so tall that I won't be able to harvest, exactly what I want. So while it's still young and the base of the stem is putting on, new brown bark, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bend these just a little bit, not too much. I think last year when I killed Paulette, I think I espaliered her a little too early and a little bit too harshly. I essentially was putting branches upside down to where the sap couldn't run to the leaves and actually feed them. So I'm just going to go ahead and split this just a little bit so it can start growing more outwards instead of upwards. So as you can see, we now have a pretty solid Y, not too heavy on the bend. If I notice there's any type of dying off that begins to happen with any new growth, I'm going to go ahead and undo this. But for right now, I think this is actually perfect. It provides a lot more airflow. Of course, I have this nice split, and the branches are now going to be able to branch out this way, which I much rather have than them shooting straight up into the air to where I eventually won't be able to reach the tops. So yeah, I think this is going to do it for me today. I'm going to go ahead and make me a lovely drink, sit out in the garden, and then go to an arts festival. So thank you for watching this mid-June episode of Pittsburgh Home Garden. I'll see you in a couple of weeks with a full garden update to see how everything's growing. So until next time, I'll be here gardening.